That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be happy today. Welcome to the Happy Today podcast with Lady Maga USA. That's me, and I will always call you ladies and gentlemen because there are two genders and 5 million different personalities. I'm so excited to begin this episode 9. I am here with Mario Estrada. Mario Presents. He is a Latino political activist who has really made a splash in Southern California and fights radical leftism in a fascinating and colorful and flamboyant and outrageous way. He has been through a lot. And let's just jump right in. Mario, welcome to the Happy Today podcast.
Hi, Lady Maga. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so great. You look amazing. I love your NRA hat. I love the bow on your NRA hat. I love the unicorn I can see in the background. So I guess I got to ask, I want to talk to you as a Latino American, but hold
Mhm.
up, hold up. Are you gay?
I am a big old Mo. Let me tell you, as long as I've ever known myself, I've been a little kind of different.
Okay, that is hilarious. But I don't really care that you're gay. I don't think we need to talk about it. I know you're open about that with people just to help defy the narrative of the
Mhm.
left and to let them know that they don't own people who happen to be gay. But I want to talk to you as an American. I want to talk to you as an activist. But as always with my podcast, the first question I like to ask is who is your favorite Disney character and why? And then I'll do my little psychoanalysis of you from your answers. So, who's your favorite Disney character and why?
My favorite Disney character is Elliot, and not many people know who Elliot is. Um, but they recently remade his movie, and I was not happy with it. My favorite is the original Pete's Dragon.
Okay, so Elliot from Pete's Dragon. Okay. Um, in 2020, I doubt if most people have even seen that movie unless they're what, maybe like 30 or older. And even then, it's kind of an unknown movie. And you chose Elliot. Um, I think you chose Elliot because he is a big, lovable, kind imaginary friend, and he is a little bit forgotten within the Disney realm. So I feel like you like to find those forgotten people in our society and speak for them. And by
Uh,
choosing Elliot, you're very much going against the grain of what's popular. It's not a mainstream favorite character. So Elliot, okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, so have you well, first I want to ask you, what is your background? What is your Hispanic background? Take me back to kind of the origins of your family, how
sure.
they came to the United States and all of that. Y no olvides, tenemos que hablar español un poquitito.
Okay, pues mi familia viene de México.
Pero no en este momento, más
Oh,
tarde.
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
I totally,
yeah.
girl, I can Spanglish. Mi familia viene de Mexico. My family comes from Mexico, and my family are actually migrant workers. My great grandparents were migrant workers, and they would pay to cross the border. My grandparents, as a consequence of this, were both born here. My grandfathers. One of them was born in Gary, Indiana, of all places, and the other one was born here in Santa Maria, California. Well, what happened is they were born here, but they didn't grow up here. They lived in Mexico. They took their families, their children back to Mexico. My grandparents grew up. They had children of their own. They had families of their own. And then they crossed legally back into America to give their children and their children's children an opportunity to become American. So I happen to be that technically generation, but again, my grandfathers are also technically first generation. So my cousins and I, go ahead. Um, yeah,
Your
we
cousins and
those
you.
yeah, my cousins and I are basically first generation Americans by way of our grandparents. And this is really where my story begins. My mom is a registered Democrat. My father still has a green card. Some of his brothers and sisters chose to become naturalized citizens, other ones chose to return to Mexico, and still others, like my father, have just their green card and they just renew their citizenship. And that's where my story starts.
Okay, so tell me, is your family in the past and even today, are they at all conservative like you are, or are you the only one?
We never really talked politics growing up. It was just one of those unspoken things that you don't really talk about, you don't discuss it. But my father was really big on talking to me about socialism and the 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 pitfalls, and how Che was not really a good person, how Chairman Mao was not very a good person. He there were I know they were born in 1957, so they're he can't say they're children of the 60s, but the late 60s, early 70s still had that, fault, that negative communism is bad, which they instilled in me. But as I grew up, I realized they weren't really conservative in terms of the what we would say Republican. They are not registered Republican. My mom's a registered Democrat. Most of my family is registered Democrats, or they don't vote at all.
Do they accept you as a conservative, Trump supporting activist?
Absolutely. Everybody except for my parents, my aunties, my uncles, my cousins, my brothers, everybody accepted me, everybody accepted my activism, everyone accepts my husband. And it's just there's this little small friction between me and my parents. So it's one of those you're wearing this walkaway shirt. If you can walk away from those people that raised you so you can form a life of your own, I can walk away from anybody. So that's really what I had to do.
I love it. Talk to me a little bit about the balance between identifying as Mexican and identifying as an American. I obviously, your Mexican heritage is a huge part of who you are. I personally have a fascination and a love with all things Mexican history and architecture and culture and food and all of that. Um, Talk to me, but also talk to, like, if you had an audience of Hispanic or Mexican Americans in front of you, talk about the balance of maintaining your identity as Mexican, but also your identity as an American.
The way I look at it is it's not an identity of Mexican, it's holding on to a culture, because ultimately at the end of the day, we're all American. And that's really what I was raised to think and how I was raised to think. Our cultures are varied and vast. And what we should be doing is taking the best of all of our cultures to make the best America that we possibly can. My mom was very open about the pitfalls of being a immigrant as a child in America, because while she was naturalized at a very young age, she was still not technically born here. And if her friends found out that she was not born here in the States because she was brown and she was from Mexico, she would have been the outcast. She would have been kicked out. She saw her friends make fun of my father, who was a known immigrant. He immigrated when he was like 14, 13 years old. So he had a very thick accent. It was very obvious that he wasn't born here. And so she was very quick to keep her mouth shut, to keep her identity quiet. And growing up, she told me, don't ever hide who you are, because I had to do that for myself.
So your family's been through a long history of coming to the United States, of integrating into the American culture. But from what I can tell, you primarily just you're just an American like everybody else with Mexican heritage. Okay. Now I want to ask you. I see that you are wearing an NRA hat. So
Yes.
are you a gun owner?
Yes, I am. I'm a gun owner. I'm an avid shooter. I also enjoy archery. I enjoy the idea that if something were to happen, if I needed to hunt my food or somebody were to break into my house, I'm well protected. And I always live by the motto that armed gays don't get bashed.
Armed gays don't get bashed. I love that. Now, you are you call yourself a political unicorn. For anybody who follows you or knows of you, and that's a lot of people, you go to rallies in fabulous high heels. Now you've got a beard. You obviously are a very manly looking man, but you wear those heels. And so, talk to me about the unicorns in the MAGA movement and in the conservative movement, and why you have chosen to be an activist in your infamous and famous high heels.
Well, I started trying, I guess you could say, getting my feet wet in the LGBT community online. Um, just creating secret groups for LGBT conservatives to have a safe space to communicate with one another and express their feelings. It then morphed into I should maybe try to help my local community off of the internet. So I did. I approached the local outreach center. I partnered with them. I said, hey, can I have a booth, a conservative booth? They said, sure, you can have a conservative booth. I went to the local Republican chapter and I said, hey, did you guys know there's this happening? They said, oh, we had no idea. I said, do you want to set up a booth? And they go, and I said, well, I'll do it. And I manned it by myself year after year after year. And then ultimately in about 2016, I decided I need to get my hands even more into this because what I was doing was good, but I needed more. So we helped them put on a festival in the summer, like they do. They call them pride festivals. I don't know. They kind of tend to get a little outlandish, but we decided to create a festival that was for the community. And we even invited the NRA, local NRA chapter had a booth at our festival. And people still talk about it today. At the end, we raised enough money to fund the center for 2 years. And because we basically put egg on the face of the people who'd been running the show up until that point, they decided to disinvite us and said, thank you so much for your help this year. We really appreciate it, but we really don't want your help next year or ever again. So we
Is
decided to,
that because you invited the NRA?
because of my political beliefs. I mean, they were mad. They were very upset that we invited the NRA. They called them a hate group. They called them all kinds of things. But then when the event happened and the NRA showed up and they explained that they offer free gun lessons to women because they are a minority that deserves to have protection. And then the NRA chapter leader came to us and went, hey, what is this trans? We don't understand it. And we explained what trans was and how these people just choose to live their life as a woman. Um, they immediately opened up their free gun lessons to the trans community here, the trans female community, because they said that they absolutely deserve the right and deserve the education freely. And people went up to us thanking us for inviting the NRA. And we ended up telling them, don't thank me. Go talk to the directors because the directors didn't want them here. And they did. They went and they spoke and they gave a piece of their mind. How dare you? How dare you disarm this community?
So it sounds like the LGBT community let you go. They got rid of
Mm,
your group.
yeah.
They took away your voice. And I'm guessing, like me and most gay Trump supporting conservatives, you lost an entire community, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I lost not only a community, I lost friendships, I lost people who I thought were going to have my back. And I decided, you know what, at that point, I don't want to say turn my back on the LGBTQ community, but I decided not to pay attention to them because if they're so high and mighty and they don't want my help, then they don't deserve my attention. And I decided to focus my attention even more so on my own conservative website projects presenting, and that's when I decided to come up with this idea of Mario Presents, because Mario presents a different idea, a different alternative. And then when I wanted to go out onto the street, I was like, well, you're sure I can carry a rainbow flag, that's easy. You can wear a rainbow shirt, but what really upsets the left, which is the full expression and the full free expression inside of this quote unquote conservative movement, and they accept me. They accept me walking around in 7-inch stilettos, 6-inch stilettos. And that's why I do it.
Talk to me directly about the reception you get at Trump rallies, at Stop the Steal rallies, at anti-lockdown rallies. You are surrounded by thousands of hardcore patriot conservatives. Talk to me about how they treat you, this rainbow flag waving man in heels. How do they treat you?
They treat me better than the left has ever treated me. The first thing they say to me is thank you. And they don't need to thank me. I should be thanking them for giving me the space to be myself because the other community doesn't want it. They don't want me to give, hold on.
It's okay.
Okay. Um, they don't want me to express myself in a conservative capacity. They want me to just sit down, be quiet, and disappear. They tell me to go hang myself. They tell me that I'm excommunicated from their community, essentially telling me that I don't have a voice. And when I show to these conservative events and people thank me, I, I appreciate it, but they don't need to thank me. I'm there because I want to represent a voice that challenges every other voice. I want to represent a voice that is necessary in this country, because too many conservatives have been pushed into the corner and suppressed and told you don't matter, you don't exist, your voice doesn't matter, and then they become quiet. And so I do what I do for all of us.
So I just want to ask you directly, are Trump supporters and conservatives more tolerant of you than the LGBT community?
100%, 150%, 1,000%. They are more tolerant of me because I can find and I can pick out one or two instances where someone has been negative towards me at one of these organic local rallies. This individual came up behind me and just said sodomite and walked away. And I heard it and I ignored it because it's a turn to the other cheek. When they did it again and again and again, I finally stopped and I turned around. And of course, I'm in my stilettos, I'm in my flag. And I said, well, let's have a discussion. Why do you want to call me that? And immediately that person grabbed their Bible and stepped back and was like, I rebuke thee in the name of Jesus. Basically shut down
Okay,
and acted.
I know that that's a story. I don't even want to focus on it because
No, I know.
how many thousands of people have you met? That's the one incident,
But
right?
no,
I
no,
want to
that's
make it
the one,
clear.
isn't it? But
Yeah.
it has a really good ending. I
Oh, okay.
promise you, the story has a really good ending. So I don't want to say I chased him, but I followed him as he was screaming and having his meltdown. Obviously, I turned around and I said, fine, I chose to walk away again, because if you can walk away, you can, okay. And I did. As I get back to where I was and where the entire incident started, patriots flooded me, coming up to me. I'm a pastor. That man does not represent me. I'm a Christian. That man does not represent me. I am, Jewish. We accept you. That man is not okay. What he did is not okay. So I got so much love for the next 30, 45 minutes. And I'm like, you guys, I thank you. Thank you. I can handle myself very well. And you all saw it, and I appreciate it. And I know he doesn't represent all of you.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that that story. I mean, I've had a few moments like that, but like you, for me, in full drag in my outfits, I am loved, embraced, hugged, complimented. I mean, people are so happy to have us there because the reality is in 2020, all conservatives have a gay brother, gay sister. They just they just don't care anymore. They are just completely over it. So that's your treatment from conservatives. Love, you're welcomed. You are, part of their group.
Yeah,
I don't even think they care that you're gay. You're just an American patriot and they love you. So now
right.
let's switch over to the treatment from the left. I know that you are a very courageous activist and you put yourself in the front of the line confronting the radical leftists. Can you talk to me about I know you've been with people who've been physically assaulted. I believe you've also been physically assaulted.
Mhm.
Talk to me about the leftist violence, who it's coming from, and what that experience is like.
Oftentimes it's minorities who think that they can get away with it. That's what I've noticed. It's young women, young minority men, whether they're heterosexual or homosexual. And they use that minority card as a precipice to push others and push their beliefs and push their anger and frustration. I often notice that these people really don't have anything to add to a conversation. They would just never want to have a conversation. They just call you racist, or they start flipping you off. I'm a little bit different. I'm a different type of warrior. So when they give me that pressure back, I flip it right back around them and I make that pressure undesirable. For instance, they give me the bird, I start talking about the size of their manhood. And I say, oh, is that what that looks like? Is that how small it is? Look how teeny tiny, I don't even take, I want at least 10 or 12, you're giving me what? Is that how small it is? And all of a sudden their finger goes down. All of a sudden they want to grab on their crotch area and be like, yeah, suck my blah blah blah. Whip it out. Let's see it. Let's see it. Come on, honey. I'm already a rainbow. You already know what I am. Let's see it. Oh, you're too embarrassed.
So
You're too
you throw
embarrassed.
it
And they
back at
slink
them.
back to the corner.
Have they ever I know
Absolutely.
I know you run with a very controversial crowd of patriots down there in Southern California. You recently told me that one of your female patriot friends was physically attacked and threatened.
Mhm.
Talk to me a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
Mhm. Um, that happened in Beverly Hills. There's a couple of us. We actually got attacked. We got punched. Her, basically they punched her stomach, they punched her face, and it was a white woman punching a black girl. It was really awful, and it's what basically is the media is hiding. It's really unfortunate because these people, and I say these people because they are still ultimately people. They just have a different set of belief system, but they behave more like animals. They behave more like feral creatures who haven't been put in their place, who haven't been taught society's normal and not normal. It's not normal to hit someone because they support a political candidate. It's not okay to call someone racist who's carrying a rainbow flag in stilettos. But in their mind, they think that they're doing something good, they're doing something just, and so it excuses their behavior.
Now, these radicals, I want to repeat what you said. A white leftist woman punched a black conservative woman. It's so clear who the true racists are. I mean, it's absolutely the left. Okay, now I'm not gonna say the name of the group because I could get deplatformed and they could say we're promoting the group. We're going to call them the Loud Boys or the
Oh yeah.
PBs. Their real name rhymes with loud. Okay, so the Loud Boys. They have a reputation for being terrorists. They have a reputation for hurting people, but I don't believe that there is even one incident of them actually causing mayhem or violence or terror like the people on the left. And they are a very alpha male, right wing, gun owning, beard growing group of men. And yet you hang out with them and you know them personally in Southern California.
Yes.
Talk to me about the Loud Boys and help us understand who they are.
Well, I'm not only friends with Loud Boys in Southern California, I'm also friends with the Central Valley group. I'm also friends with the some of the Northern California groups. I've met some of them from Georgia. I've met some of them from Tennessee when I was in Vegas at the Trump rally this past, what was it? There was the indoor Trump rally. It was in September or something that we did. Um, there was a whole group of them there, and they accept me, no problem. I say uhuru, which is one of their mottos. It means freedom in Swahili. I say uhuru. They know exactly that I know who they are. They respond immediately in kind and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Da, da, da. And before I know it, we're all taking pictures together. I'm going to the pool parties. There's no homophobia. If they had homophobia, they wouldn't invite me to their pool parties. And duh, they wouldn't invite me to the barbecues. They wouldn't invite me to come join them at their rallies. And I've been in Bakersfield and I'm standing on the corner by myself waiting for my friends to show up because they have a further drive than I do. And I'm just waiting there, standing there. I've taken one corner, take the next corner, and all of a sudden I see a group of gentlemen make a beeline to me. They didn't stop to say hello to all these other patrons. They made a beeline straight to me. And I'm going, big burly guys coming say hey, say hi to me, and I'm like in my stilettos with my rainbow flag. Okay. And they're like, oh hi, we're nice to meet you, da, 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 da. We're so and so, we're from this crew, we're from that crew. And I, I don't have anything negative to say. If anything, the reason that you see the videos of them being violent is because they're defending people who are being attacked. You know, if I was there, I would defend. I've watched them. I've had to mend people and put basically close wounds that the other side has inflicted on patriots.
Yeah, that's anytime you see the Loud Boys um, engaged in a violent conflict, it is never them who initiated it, instigated it. They are responding to leftist violence and defending patriots. And that's what's missing from the narrative. Again, I just kind of like to repeat what you're saying so that anyone listening really gets this through their head. The Loud Boys are known as racist, homophobic, white supremacists, and you are a brown Mexican, gay, flamboyant man, and they love you and they treat you with It sounds like utmost respect and even admiration.
And even the Los Angeles chapter, I can tell you on one hand, maybe not even using all those fingers, that's how many Caucasian or white Loud Boys there are in the Los Angeles chapter. The rest of them are Asian, Black, Hispanic.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Um, so you're down in Southern California. I recently was in Southern California for the Beverly Hills rally, and I was with a gay patriot friend. We were wearing our Make America Great Again rainbow hats and no masks outside. And we were screamed at by a woman um, for wearing our hats, and she took it upon herself to yell at us and scream how disgusting we are and we're traitors. We had people flipping us off and yelling at us for walking down the street outside not wearing a mask. They went all the way around us, walked out into the street, turned around and yelled at us and flipped us off. And I noticed everywhere, like all along the Beverly Hills Boulevard or whatever it was, it said wear a mask, wear a mask, mask up. I mean, it was crazy. Talk to me about the tyranny that you live under in California.
It's pretty bad. You have to wear a mask. I choose to make fun of their mask mandates all summer long, all year long, because right now, Halloween, I have Halloween masks. I still left out a couple of things from the box before I put everything away. So I'll walk in wearing a Halloween mask, and they kind of look at me like, but they can't say anything because there's no real definition of what kind of mask you can wear. Uh, I've so I make fun of their mask mandate while at the same time adhering to it. It's just kind of one of the really, really good things that I do, or I completely disobey it altogether. Today I walked through Walmart without my masks, and my Walmart doesn't really care. I put it on just kind of to get through the door, and then I took it off, and nobody said anything else once I was in there. And I went all the way through the checkers. I went all, nobody cared.
Okay.
Uh,
I remember we had a conversation once and you told me about an experience at a grocery store where you kind of legally broke the law because there are no laws in California anymore. So tell me that story because this is who Mario is. It is hilarious. And I just tell us the story.
okay, so not to incriminate myself,
Don't
but
just don't say the name of the store.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Um, I walked into this store and I was like, I walked in to basically buy my groceries, to buy some vegetables, buy some meat, make some tacos. I'm excited. So I go in, I fill my cart. I actually have the mask right here. How hysterical. I'm wearing my mask, my state mandated face covering,
A
and
beekeeper cover. I love it.
immediately security comes over and goes, "Sir, you have to wear a mask." I said, "No, I'm not going to wear a mask. I have a breathing issue. You're not going to, I can't wear it." He leaves, he comes back, and there's another employee. He's like, "Sir, you have to wear a mask." I said, "No, I'm not wearing a mask. I have a breathing issue." I said, "Furthermore, I've had a personal experience that prevents me from wearing a mask. You don't need to know about it." And he goes, "Well, sir, you need to wear a mask." And I finally told him, I said, I've been a victim of sexual assault. I've had my mouth covered where I couldn't scream out. I'm not covering my mouth ever again. You can't make me, and no one can make me. And the guy said, "Okay." So he leaves, he comes back, the manager says the same thing. And I'm like, she's like, and then she gets real high and mighty. And she just kind of goes, "Well, if you get to the check register, we're just not going to check you out." And I went, okay, this is a challenge because she's pushed me now. So I decided to continue doing my shopping. No one wants to help me, not the meat department, not the bakery. No one wants to help me. So I'm basically shopping and picking up things that obviously they're either prepackaged or prepared. No big deal. I just avoid the human interaction with your associates. Great. I get to the register and the girl at the register shuts off my light. And I'm like, this? So my stuff is already on the conveyor belt. And she says, "Sir, I can't ring you up." I said, "I'm trying to pay. I have money. I'm trying to pay." She goes, "Sir, I can't ring you up." So I said, at this point, I'm frustrated, and I know the laws in California. In California, you can legally commit theft as long as the items of value are under $950. So I just put the stuff right back onto my grocery cart, and I started walking out the street, walking out the door. Security tries to stop me. He's like, "Oh, the police are coming. We already called them, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Okay, where are they?" He's like, "Go right, they're coming." I said, "Great." Moved over. He walks away to go see the manager, talk to her, and I take that moment and I walk right out the door with a cart full of groceries, $200-300 worth of food, but that I was willing to pay for, I was prepared to pay for, and they decided not to charge me. And theft of items from an open area is not against the law as long as the item of value is $950. So I just walked it out to my car, loaded my car, security followed me, everybody followed me, everyone's watching me. And I just whip around and I said, thank you very much, have a great day. And I walked out because and now she has more work for herself because she has to fill out a loss prevention item for every single thing that I took.
Good. Well, you clapped back. That's absolutely ridiculous. Um, so it really is, it's not a myth. In
No,
California, you can go into a CVS, a grocery store, a clothing store, and you can steal up to $900 worth of products.
I
And
think it, I, yeah, they won't, the police won't come out as long as the item of value is $950 or less.
so literally, that's anarchy. That's insanity. That's real. Like you literally can just walk in, steal makeup or whatever you want, and walk out, and the police will not prosecute people.
Nope.
I'm speechless. So that leads me to this question: is it worth it for you to stay in California?
It's starting to become less and less worth it. But living in California, being born in California, as a California child, I am willing to stay and fight for my state as long as I possibly can. Too many people have given up the fight. Too many people have thrown their hands up and decided to leave California. But what happens a lot of the time is these people who are leaving California for greener pastures are taking their voting habits with them. And I'm going, no, don't take your voting habits. You're leaving and just going and destroying other cities. And look at California. And I'm left here and I'm standing here on the corner in heels, shouting, wake up, wake up.
You have actually gone out by yourself in your heels, standing on a corner just to get a message, knowing that hundreds, if not thousands, of cars are going to see your sign. I want you to know, Mario, I respect you. Um, you are one of my personal heroes. You work harder than almost anybody I know. And you are sincere, you are humble, and you are fierce, and you are a warrior. And so it was my honor to talk to you. Um, tell our audience where they can find you and how they can support you.
Well, you can always find me at www.mariopresents.com. I
M
have
A R
blogs that I
I,
put on there.
okay, MARIOPRESENTS.com.
Correct. Mario Presents on most platforms. And from my website, you can pretty much find all of my social media. And you can support me if you want on PayPal and Venmo. And I think it's Cash App as well. All Mario Presents.
Okay, amazing. Can I we didn't really speak a lot of Spanish, but can I show off for you really quick?
Yes.
Tell me if you recognize this song. Que tengo aquí, qué lindo es un tesoro que descubrí, es muy simple decir que no hay más que pedir.
That's beautiful. It's Part of Your World from
Yes.
Ariel's. Yes,
Yes.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah. When I say I love Spanish and I love everything Hispanic and Mexican, I don't know, you can't see above me, but I have like Mexican antiques and all this kind of stuff. So I have great hope for the future of our country because so many Hispanics are waking up, and Latino forces like you are awakening more people than you know. So please
Mhm.
always continue, never give up. And in Spanish, really quick, anecdotally, just give a message to Mexican Americans and immigrants and Hispanics. Just real quick, what would you say to them if you had, 1 minute on a platform and all of them could hear you? What would you tell them in Espanol?
Gosh. Haz tu tarea porque los demócratas nomás te dan mentiras. Somos republicanos. Queremos a nuestra familia. Queremos suceder. Trabajamos con un poder que ninguna persona nos puede ser igual. Y acuérdense de lo que vienen y no traigan sus problemas de los demócratas, de los racismo, de los carteles, de todo eso, no los traigas aquí a los Estados Unidos. Somos libres aquí en los Estados Unidos y si siempre queremos estar libres, tenemos que votar por los republicanos y porque somos conservatives. I don't even know how to say that.
No, yeah, I that was beautiful. I think your Spanish is just so lovely. So, um I think we'll have to continue this conversation in Washington D.C. this weekend.
Yes, we'll do a part 2 this weekend in Washington, D.C. How
We
about
totally
that?
can. We'll go live. We'll continue it. I admire you. I love you. It's an honor to talk to you. Never give up. Thank you for being the head unicorn of this movement. And
Oh, thank you.
God bless you, Mario. Que Dios te bendiga. Te quiero muchísimo. And just keep rocking it. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
I'll
Thank
talk
you
to you
so
soon.
much.
Mwah.
Mwah.